also I see like this entire journey is like an identity journey. Like you go through different stages, you wear different hats, and the business is your mirror. It's either the business growing or you, or both. But it's like
Exactly.
you get all your fears, anxiety, whatsoever, like they're getting triggered. It's like a relationship, you know?
100%, you've hit the nail on the head. It's like, if you're sad, that day is sad. If you're anxious, that day is anxious. And it does completely, it's mirrored in how you operate.
Yes. Yeah.
You're not 4 steps removed. You're in it, and it's very exciting. And as I said to you, I sometimes feel like a bit of a fraud almost, because I'm so young or new. My training wheels aren't off yet here in this space, in this founder space. And I almost feel that, like, I know people have lots to learn from other people, but I have so much.
What would you say, what cracked open at that moment about your identity? Was there a certain part you let go of, or like you discovered because you were forced to?
Yeah. And it was quite weird. I never expected to feel free.
Wow. Free in what?
It was the most bizarre feeling because I love my job in events. I love what we do. I love my clients. I love the process, everything about it. There's nothing I don't love, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just so frustrated as a human that I was like, what else am I capable of doing? What else can I do? I didn't even know if I liked to read a book anymore at that point. And so for me, the freedom of letting my brain go, and that's actually what I nourish in the cafe for people when they do a workshop.
Yeah.
I Control Alt Delete keep praying in 2 hours, because that's what it did for me. It Control Alt deleted my brain and allowed me to take a deep breath.
Welcome to Founder Real Talk, honest conversations about what it really takes to be a founder. That's actually really cool. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Founder Real Talk. Today I'm here with Veronica. Yeah, very happy to have you here. So maybe like a little brief about who is Veronica, and then please correct me if I missed something or if there should be something added. But like I found that V is quite an entrepreneur who juggles quite a lot of different projects, as you shared them with me. So you are director of the Pedals Group, a leading group of Cape Town's flower and event business and industry. Then you run the Flower Cafe, like the co-founder, which is quite an immersive experience I have not experienced myself, but I actually want to drop by and have a look. Yeah. And you're also the founder of Florigraphy, which is supplying freeze-dried botanicals. That's also really, really cool. It's like you're actually one of the most creative person I have on the show so far, which is really cool. Yay. So welcome very much.
Thanks.
And yeah, you actually sent me a quote, Veronica, or a kind of like a quotation, which I found quite interesting. You said that the Flower Cafe taught me one big lesson. If you don't try, you will never know. And sometimes not knowing yet is the beginning of everything. I was like, wow.
That is, for me, fundamentally, I never knew that. I've learned that in the last 5.5 years. I always say to people, the V you meet now is not the V I was in 2019 and early 2020. And I call it the BCV, the before COVID V. And for me, COVID was like the defining line of where I was in the world and where I am now, and that's where that philosophy came in, is that I learned that through the Flower Cafe, and I'm sure we'll unpack that as well as we go. But it becomes part of the narrative of how I saw the world in a very, very, very siloed way, like on that freight train or steam train hurtling in one direction. And for me, I got very frustrated because I couldn't see left or right. And I was just on this train. I'd been doing events and decor for events for over 25 years. And I felt incredibly, and you're not stifled creatively because every job you do is very different and it's all unique and all of that. But you feel like, what else am I capable of doing? And I felt that the days ran away from me, and one day blurred into the next, and I just wanted to get off that moving ship. So COVID put the tracks on hold in a mammoth way. And that's where we transitioned from the main parent company, the Petals Group, into the Flower Cafe. And we had no idea what I was doing, but I knew that we had to create something to keep people employed. I mean, I always say to people, you see me, there's 19 other people standing behind me. I just get the honor to be able to speak to people and get to hear their stories.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to talk to people, how to engage, how to teach. I'm not a teacher. I don't know any of these things. I'm no life coach in any way whatsoever. And the Flower Cafe for me evolved into this unknown of when you do something for the first time that you've never done before. I truly believe it's the beginning of the rest of your life.
Yeah. Wow. So can
Really
we go
do.
a little bit like some steps back? So how was it for like during COVID? There was basically like the shutdown. So basically most of your business, all of the business, the event business was kind of rest in peace.
Decimated. I mean,
Yeah.
hospitality disappeared, and we rely on, as the Petals Group, we've been going since 1967, so a very, very well-established business. And it
Yeah.
grew and grew as businesses are supposed to do. So you take on more staff and you take on more people to do more things. You're
Yes.
in a very big building to hold all your things, and all of a sudden, coming from an environment where everybody needed, well, the people who needed us, to the point where day one you were needed, day two you were giving back all your deposits.
Mm.
And that was the hard part. There were 20 people that didn't have a job in 24 hours. And
Wow.
was, it was my biggest fear. I always laugh when I take the Flower Cafe workshops. I always say to everybody, my husband is the brunt of all my jokes, but I'm sometimes not joking. It just sounds like I am. But I used to say to him pre-COVID, and it used to frustrate me. I said, you know what, if this was taken away from me, all of this, what else would I do? I got a degree a hell of a long time ago. No one's going to employ me because of my degree. But on top of that is that I live in this fear of it's going to go away. And he used to look at me strange and say, I have no idea why you think it's going to go away. Just enjoy it. And my
Mm.
biggest fear came true. But what I didn't realize is that I was so equipped. I'd never been an entrepreneur before then. My entrepreneur journey is baby. It's small. It's 5.5 years old.
Yeah.
I am so inspired by it that I never not want to be this person. As frightening as it is sometimes and as crazy as it is, I never not want to be this person.
Yeah.
I love that label. I love having the label of being this entrepreneur because I was in a very easy position. I joined a well-established business when I first started working. It's been only my only job. And all of a sudden I was kicked out of the nest. And now everything I'd learned for 25 years, I learned on. And it was frightening and exciting at the same time. I mean, 5 years down the line, hindsight is a wonderful thing. But at the time it was frightening, but it was, we were talking about that earlier, right? It's
Yeah.
frightening, but it's exciting.
Yeah. But how does it then work with the flower cafe? Because probably also not that many people, or could they go there? Or like how did that work during the COVID times, and how did you start? How did you have the money? How did you
No money.
taught
We
you?
had absolutely nothing. I always say we cried a lot and we shouted a lot. And for the first 6 months of COVID, we were like, okay, this is going to be 6 months and everything's going to happen and it'll all be fine and what. And then we realized at the end of July 2020 that
Mm,
this wasn't going away. Events were not coming back and we needed to fill the big ship. And we were never going to be able to do that in essence because events is a massive industry. But we realized, and I've come also with the other philosophy, and my feeling is, and I know, with privilege comes responsibility. Privilege didn't mean at that point money in the bank account. It meant actually, what did you know? And that was
yes.
your privilege. And we had 20 families that needed a roof over their head, food on the table, and their kids had to go to school. So we had to do something. We weren't going to let that. We're a big family of humans. We fight like a family. We cry like a family, but we're family.
Yeah.
And so in 2 weeks, we turned our whole warehouse, which wasn't a place that people would come to. We called ourselves the Flower Cafe because the Petals Group was on ice. Our drivers became baristas in 3 days. We made cake at home and we started an online presence and we said, come and visit us and we'll teach you how to do what we do. We were full every day, 3 times a day in a time when people were told to stay at home.
Wow.
And it, we laughed because I had to do the math the other day because somebody asked me how many people had been through your door. And up until 2 weeks ago, we've had 19,872 people through the door without any paid advertising.
How is that possible? Wow.
Unbelievable. And so for me, it's the power of, we were respectful, we did social distancing. It wasn't like we were cowboys and things like that, but people came and they came and they came and they came. And we realized that this immersive botanical workshop experience was what people were craving. They were craving a connection. They were craving to get off their dining room table. The narrative has changed over the last 5.5 years because people are no longer craving that. They're craving something else. So we have to morph into the way we talk to people, because our workshops not only, you come in, you make a bunch of flowers, or you do a terrarium, or you do a flower crown, or you do whatever we've got for you to do. We start with a fireside chat. We spend 40 minutes talking, whether the group is 2 people or 42 people.
Yeah.
I feel that you have to decompress before you can get creative. And then we get creative, because I always believe that as human beings, we learn by stories.
Yeah.
And so we tell our story, and we tell the stories that have happened to people that have come through the cafe and have had these crazy life-turning experiences, which I never expected them to have, but I've been privy to them. So I'm like, wow. So we tell those stories, and then we get creative, because I always say the why changes the how. You're
Yes.
making a bunch of flowers. That's the simplicity of it. But what you get out of it is like truly something magical. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we are. And then events are back, thank goodness, filling a black hole. But the Flower Cafe will never go away if I got anything to do with it, because for me, it was the beginning of the next step. It showed me the capacity I had as a human being, and it showed me how I could really flex that muscle I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
Nothing will ever come my way ever again that I will never look at and go, that's for someone else. Well, that's for someone else. I will look at it and go, can I do that? If I can't do it, then that's okay. But I'm going to try it, because you never know.
Wow. Yeah. So what would you say? What cracked open at that moment of COVID about your identity? Was there a certain part you let go of, or like you discovered because you were forced to? Yeah.
And it was quite weird. I
Yeah.
never expected to feel free.
Wow. Free in what?
It was the most bizarre feeling, because I love my job in events. I love what we do. I love my clients. I love the process, everything about it. There's nothing I don't love, right?
Yeah.
But I was just so frustrated as a human that I was like, what else am I capable of doing? What else can I do? I didn't even know if I liked to read a book anymore at that point. And so for me, the freedom of letting my brain go, and that's actually what I nourish in the cafe for people when they do a workshop.
Yeah.
I control alt delete your brain in 2 hours, because that's what it did for me. It control alt deleted my brain and allowed me to take a deep breath. And yeah, someone actually said to me, I was at a training course once, and they said to me, okay, so what keeps you all up at night? And everybody had their answers of what keeps them up at night and what keeps them up at night. And I didn't have an answer. I said, I can't tell you what keeps me up. There's so much that keeps me up at night. But it dawned on me like 3 or 4 days later. I said, you know what keeps me up at night? Sheer fear, sheer excitement, all at the same time.
Yes.
I am so excited now about life, whereas before I was almost complacent.
And the
So
fun
I
fact
feel
is
that,
that your brain doesn't even know the difference. It's the same nervousness and excitement. It's the same emotion.
and I didn't know what it was. And so I was suddenly so, as I said, on this entrepreneurial journey, it's injected me with something. I feel like a kid that I felt like, why didn't I know this before? But it wasn't my time before. I was being groomed in my time to do this now.
Which
And
probably
that's led to, correct. And that's led to 2 or 3 other business ventures that I'm involved in, which I would never have had the courage to do. Never. They would have come my way, and I would have handed them over to someone else and said, you're perfect for this, take it.
yeah.
And really, I like it. It makes me proud of myself, which I would never have said 5 years ago. I would never have been proud of myself.
Just about like walking the walk. What is it exactly that you're proud about?
I'm proud that I took a risk, and I'm proud that I was given the opportunity. As I said, it's not only me that started the Flower Cafe and like gave it its bones, but I was the one that ran with it and took
Yes.
it by the bulls by the horn. And I, for the first time, I think in my adult life, I had the capacity to go, okay, let's just try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I'm not going to regret it. I almost felt like the spring was back. Like I felt like I was able to move again.
Yeah.
And I think, and that for me, I'm obsessed with now connecting with, I never wanted to connect with people before. I felt like my silo was comfortable and I was happy in my lane. Now I really, that's who I am now.
Yeah. Wow. It's so interesting because for example, if you look at children and how they like so innocently just try things out, and they're like, if they want to do something, they just believe that they can do it, especially when the firms we know.
That's exactly how I feel like now. I feel like the training will come off.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is I'm supposed to be, when that bicycle starts being ridden by yourself
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's free and it's exciting. And that's where I am. And I'm fascinated. Sometimes I kind of go a bit faster than I should at points, but then I have to pull myself back. But
Yeah.
I never want to not be in this position ever again.
Wow. Yeah. What
Yeah,
do you think most founders or business owners, like what is like a misbelief like they hold up to, or other people who don't even start a business, like what is it that they, like a misconception in a way, why they think it's not for them?
well, the thing from my experience,
Yeah.
starting Floriography, which is only 2.5 years old, which is the freeze drying business, which, as I said, it would have crossed my path and I would have handed it over. We ended up buying the business. And
Yeah.
I think that the misguidedness that I had is that when I bought the business, the market that it fed from the previous owner actually is the market I struggle to get. Whereas
Yeah.
I have completely turned it around and feed a whole different market. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm just going to sell these things to the people that she sold them to. It's the most difficult thing. I find it very frustratingly difficult. Whereas a whole new set of clients, which she never even thought of servicing, are actually the money clients for this business. And I think that's the thing. I think if you go into something, what you perceive to be sort of the
Mm,
easy road to take,
mm,
although it's never the easier road to take, sometimes the road that you shouldn't be on.
yes.
And it keeps showing you, and you need to take the one that you probably don't think of that much.
Mm.
That's what I've learned. And I keep getting surprised by it. And I think stop being surprised, Veronica. In 2.5 years, it's shown you every way that you're going in the right direction, but it's not the road it was supposed to be.
Yeah, and then yeah, probably that's like what you touched on, that you look at someone who's doing it, but it's not your own way, and then you already feel this, like, the disconnect, and maybe that's why you don't even start in the first place, because that's not the walk you're gonna walk, right?
Correct. Exactly. And I think that a lot of people wanting to start something, I think there's also that financial sort of, you've got to spend money to make money. And I know that sounds like such a cliched saying, and I never understood it before. Not that I didn't understand it. Of course I understood it, but physically understood is that when you're spending your own money in order to make something happen,
Yeah.
you do turn it over a lot more than you think you would if it wasn't your own money.
Mm.
And I think that is the nerve-wracking thing. And I think that's possibly one of the things that would stop someone from maybe doing something 100% and only doing it 80% or not at all.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And,
don't know. That sounds maybe too simplistic, but
no,
that's,
no, no, it's actually because, I'm from the venture capital space, right? And like,
of
there's
course,
often
yes.
this saying, why do you want to take money from like from a big investor, but you don't want to take money from your friend? So that means there is something inside you that says, oh, I'm not really sure I can take the paycheck from someone else, but if it's my own money or money from someone else, it's a different story. Or I talked to one founder who said they got a lot of money and they made all the wrong decisions because it was too much and it was not their own. And then
Yes.
they, like
You start stepping things along the way. And I think that being a founder, you've got to be, it's hard to say this now because you've got to be very brave to spend the money. And I
yes,
think that you've got it because whether it's 100 Rand or 100,000 Rand, the value doesn't matter. It's what you're going to get by spending that value, which you actually don't know, because sometimes things have never been to a market before.
yeah,
And now you're trying to put something, it's education, education, education. And that's for me exactly what it is. The things that I thought people would want to hear about the products, the freeze-dried product, never sold them. It's when I went the complete opposite thought process. I was like, oh, that solved that. That's very interesting. So I must say, I spent 2 years of being very confused on the
yes,
narrative of how to sell a product that I suppose I was learning about too. So my mindset changed a lot along the way. And then, so I think my frustrations has been as I lost a lot of opportunities by confusing customers of what they needed from me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, I do understand. Yeah. I'm just wondering what made you choose not to follow the path of that lady you bought the business from? Like, why did you want to have a
I think
different?
it was, it's funny. Like, I almost felt I had something to prove
Mm,
in a funny way,
yeah.
and thought I could do better. And I have done better. If funnily, sorry. What I mean, like, I really like sort of unpicked places that no one would have gone to. And I suppose because, as I said, I'm now talking about the freeze drying. We've jumped from the events to the flower cafe to the freeze drying, is that it's a product that people don't know they need until they need it. And then they don't know they need it until they've used it.
What is that
And
even?
so
What is it?
what is it?
Yeah. Like, is it you can eat it? Like,
You can eat it, you could jump on it. No, I'm kidding. So basically, we bought one of the only botanical freeze drying machines in the country, but we bought two. And they're massive machines, they're big. You get freeze dryers that are tabletop and small.
okay.
These are big barrel machines. They take 3,500 heads of flowers at a time per machine. And basically, we started off doing only flowers and botanicals. So we would take event waste, so flowers that off events, and freeze drying is basic preservation without preservatives. But you're using cold chain as opposed to heat. So you get sort of 3 or 4 different kinds of preservation. So you get dehydration, which,
Yeah.
which is with heat, but then it kills a lot of the enzymes in the product. Then you get air drying, where you hang things and they dry in the air and become crispy and crumbly. And then you get freeze drying, which you only lose between 5 and 10% of the nutrient value of the item. And what it does, it retains color, texture, and shape. So you put in a red rose and the red rose comes out again the way it was that it went in. So we do a lot of custom. So I started off not custom drying. I started off just drying for us and selling to people and confetti, and restaurants and things like that. And then I realized there was a massive gap in the market for the small boutique farms that would have excess stock. So they pay us to dry, which this woman had never done before. Access to those people because of my floral connections in the eventing world. And then we started drying for all the top restaurants in town. We would do some very, very, very cool things. And so freeze drying is on the top, on the lips of everybody worldwide. It's just not in South Africa. It's very, very small. You walk through Woolies, you'll see like freeze dried fruit and things like that, but it's a very niche market.
Yeah.
But it's magic. And it's really, yeah. So I love it very much. But as I said, I've really pushed the envelope with regards to who we drive for, what we do, the contracts that we've got.
So was there a moment along the process where you thought, oh, like it's not happening?
Oh God, yeah. Oh my God. I said to my husband, because this is the first time we've worked together, him and I didn't know that would ever happen. I always said I'd never work with him because we kill each other. Again, he's the butt of my jokes. You want to leave work at the front door. You don't want to bring it inside the home sometimes.
Yeah.
But we did this together and we haven't killed each other yet. But last year, someone said to us, because I don't put anything poisonous in the machines and I don't put anything with real allergens, like no nuts, no meat, no anything like that.
Yeah.
And someone said to us, we've got this excess of egg whites. We know we can freeze dry egg whites and we want to put them into protein bars and things like that. And we've got our CPOAs and all these things. I said, sure, because I'm not going to say no. And I researched now after I've said yes. I'm like, how do you freeze dry egg whites? Figured that out. And it worked 80%. I couldn't do what I said I was going to do in my head. In the sense I couldn't get the volume out. And we ended the contract with them on good terms. We finished doing what we needed to do. And I said to my husband, I'm done. Doesn't work. Can't do this. It's out. I'm like, we wasted all this money and time. And oh my God. And he looked at me and went, it did work. It just didn't work like it was supposed to in your head. I was like, I know. It did work. And that for me, I kind of have temper tantrums along the way. And that is with a lot of things because I'm always used to being a success. In the eventing world, having joined a business that was a very well-established business and being there for 25 years with a support system, with 20 people in that business, going to a business on my own with my husband that we are both learning. We both don't know about certain things. And so in the events world, if I've got a problem, I can talk to my team.
Yes.
I will figure it out before it becomes a problem. Even for a client won't even know it because it's internally fixed and I don't have to throw my toys out. At home, I'm like, "Oh, this is not working." So, I mean, it comes with its frustrations. It's not all rainbows and unicorns, but I love it. As I said, I wouldn't change it. I like excited. I'm vibed by it.
It's actually really interesting if you compare it, because I know from the event industry, even though I haven't been in it, but I know if there's an event, it has to be perfect. I mean, customer first, right? It always has to be 100%. And now if you have a project where it's only 80%, obviously your mind's like, this is World War, like something is
Exactly. And so 100%. And I'm such a perfectionist that honestly, it doesn't serve me to be anything other than perfect. So it is a humbling process, and it is something that I'm very grateful for in that respect. As I said, the humbling side of things.
Yeah. And did you take some time off during this entire process, or were you like all in and like?
That is the one thing that I do try. People always say practice what you preach. And in the Flower Cafe, I'm preaching about how you need time out for yourself and you need to curate these things. And it sounds colloquial and all of that. But I always laugh because everyone's like, so what do you do? How do you disconnect? Right? And then I laugh and say, I watch a lot of Netflix, and I'm not even joking. TV. I'm watching TV from like 9 o'clock every night until 2:30, 3 in the morning. It doesn't matter. It's my reset button. So I laugh and say, time out. It's not about for me walking on the mountain or doing a yoga class or anything like
Yeah.
that. I realize that it's time with myself.
And you choose your program.
And the Netflix Z grade shows are my shows.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Oh, wow. And during the weekend, like do you also work, or like what's the?
yeah. So with the events, we have to work on the weekends. So that goes without saying now. And the Flower Cafe is open on a Saturday morning, and I take all the workshops. So, but again, I actually find that the workshops are a reset for me. I get to actually get away from my computer, be completely and utterly just who I am in front of perfect strangers. And I never thought that that would be something that I would be buzzed about. And while I'm having this thing, my husband and the dogs have all just walked into the room where I'm supposed to be an online podcast. So welcome to my life.
It's all right.
So if you see my eyes doing this, it's like, oh.
It's real talk, eh? This is what's always happening with a founder. Like there's always something coming in and out, and like your mind is
That's
shredded.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I find that the Flower Cafe for me as well, actually, I enjoy it. I love it so much that it's not work.
What would people think you feel confident about, but actually you're not? Is there
Oh, I
something?
can do it immediately. Everyone thinks I'm an extrovert, and I'm the biggest extra introvert you've ever met in your entire life. I am a good clown. What's like a good actress? In the sense that I'm not being authentic. I'm not being authentic. Like I love people and I love that, but my battery is very, very, very limited. And so I do retreat.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I think that was part of me feeling like I was on a freight train pre-COVID. I didn't know that about myself. And I realized that I am when people realize that I'm actually really introverted, I hate going out in big crowds. If a dinner table is 12 people, I'm like already slitting my wrists before I get there. It's fun because I can talk in front of 300 people and it's not a problem.
Yes.
But it's for very short and limited time. No one, I mean, that's what most people have said. I said, I can't believe you're an introvert. They don't believe me.
Yeah, because they don't see your battery level. They get the full version, right?
And I pull myself away just in time.
Okay. Yeah. Probably that's also
And
a skill to learn.
and you now,
I thought about that because, to be very honest, during COVID, I really started to enjoy my own time because I was forced to, and I was also doing my PhD, so I was like in my own world. But I checked it, well, I double checked it. So I'm an extrovert because when I'm with people, I generate energy. I don't feel like I'm getting drained, but I also like my time alone because I can read, I can think, like literally think. Like us humans, we don't really think a lot. It's mostly about doing or like processing, but sitting down and thinking, we don't really do that. And I love doing that actually.
And it's so interesting though, because I suppose there's so many other factors that hit us in the face that it's easier to jump on your phone and scroll social media or do whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's actually the hardest part is coming to yourself.
Mm. Yeah.
And for me, I found that everyone says, "Oh my God, V, you're so woo woo." I'm like the most woo woo, unwoo woo person you're ever going to meet. But I like, that's the thing. COVID opened this door to
Yeah.
another world for me, a world that I never, for one reason or another, never got to see. Like, I never got to understand, like, I never heard of grounding. Like, oh my God, like, how cool is grounding? Like, it's a thing. And like, you start watching movies again, back to Netflix, about what people have said, you got to watch this. It's so interesting. I never
Yeah.
would have done that. I never would have done it. I wouldn't have done this. I would have never come on a podcast and spoken to you about anything that I thought about because I would have thought it's completely irrelevant. No one wants to hear from me. They probably don't want to hear from me, but they are now. But,
Well, everyone has a story. Everyone wants to hear the story. That's why, like this in particular, this podcast is so great because people, they don't care like if you make millions. They want to see like, who's this
yeah,
person? Who's V? And
yeah,
is she like me? Honestly, I think most humans want to figure out, like, is that relatable? Like, if she can do it, like, what am I missing? Like, because there's always comparison in a way, right? So they figure out,
yeah.
yeah,
I just find it fascinating. And again, going back to this huge cupboard of opportunities. And my granny always used to say to me, she says, you know what? Don't worry about things you don't need to know about. But once you know, never forget. And for me, those little nuggets of things that other people can teach you, I
yeah,
never listened to anybody before COVID. I don't think I did. I don't think I stopped for 1 second to listen to what anyone else had to say, for the good, the
yeah,
bad, and the ugly of that. And now every little piece of information, I feel like I can hold it and I can look at it and I can see it and I can use it if I need to or not use it if I don't want to. But it's like
yeah.
picking up that little lucky beans. I don't know if you picked up lucky beans when you were kids. Did you ever pick up a lucky bean? It's
I'm
like a
not
little,
sure.
it's like, it's like a little red bean that falls out of a tree and used to pick up lucky beans. And for me, when I get to meet people in the flower cafe or I meet people like you because someone said you need to speak to you, my little lucky bean, you put it in your pocket and you make a wish. And that,
Yes,
and
cool.
I just feel that that is how you've got to see the world. I don't believe it, as I said, it's not all unicorns and rainbows. It doesn't just fall out the sky and make you successful in one night. But I think that if you don't take those small little signs as like a win, or you don't take that as a win, you're going to be so much harder on yourself when the wins don't happen.
Mm. Yeah, true. Yeah,
I know it sounds so like lofty and sort of, but once you know, you know.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's also a roller coaster, right? Like, I mean, maybe, yeah,
And I'm like as we're sitting here, I'm like panicking about the fact that I need to get an export license to send something to Australia that I don't think is going to go. Now, how am I going to get it there? Because I really need this client. Like, that's what I'm actually thinking about now. But at the same time, I actually have to stop and go, oh my God, this woman in Australia contacted me and she wants my product. Like, holy macaroni. Really? She wants it. So I've got to make it happen. How it happens is possibly, again, in my perfect mind, is not the way that it will. But like, wow, and that's like, it can't be overshadowed by like, holy macaroni, how am I going to get it there? It's like the small little win of being an entrepreneur is like, holy, they connected with. So you know what I mean? So I'm doing something. I created a business out of nothing,
yeah,
fresh air.
yeah.
And that's cool. I love that. And that's the buzz. That's what keeps me on this train going, I'm doing the right thing.
It is actually really cool. Yeah. So how does a normal day in a life look like on your side? Is there like any kind of pattern, or like how does it?
So a
Yeah.
normal day in my life is deciding with my husband who's going to feed the dogs in the morning because and we all like not very good morning people. So we like, who wants, but no, I'm kidding, facetious. But yes, we feed the dogs, the child goes to school, and then real life starts. And my day is taken up by Petals Group and Flower Cafe. I try and keep the businesses very separate, only and from floriography, only
Yeah.
because it's important that they don't bleed. And it's important that Petals and Flower Cafe get my attention. Floriography definitely needs my attention, but it's something that it happens sort of when I have time for it, when I've got the headspace. It doesn't need 24/7. So when I come home and I've had a glass of wine, I can actually focus on that side of the business because I'm lucky that my husband is here to pick up the pieces and to run the machinery side of things. So I don't have to worry about the day-to-day running of the business. It's more about how the marketing happens and who hears about it and how they hear about it. So my day-to-day is Petals Group, Flower Cafe, and floriography when it is the right headspace, which is possibly not the right thing. It is a frustrating the sort of dichotomy, but yeah.
Would you recommend someone else to run 2 businesses or 3? Like, is it like, how do you?
You
Yeah.
know, I think you can't do 3 different things yourself. I think if you've got fingers in pies
Yeah.
and you are looking at starting 3 things from scratch, I think you're going to be burnt out very quickly.
Mm.
So, and as I said, I'm very fortunate that I have the backbone of the Petals Group and Flower Cafe with a 20 team strong that we don't say we all have unique roles. We're not all trying to run the whole business, each of ourselves. We've
Yeah.
got roles to play.
Yeah.
So the Flower Cafe and and then floriography for me is, yes, it is me on my own, but then I'm not doing that and that and that all by myself. So I think if somebody's running 3 entities on their own, must be very scary place.
Yeah. Yeah, because you often.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, what do you think?
You were saying?
I think the hardest is that you can't see progress quick enough, and then, like, you're bleeding out on 2 sides because your bucket of energy is limited, and, it's
And I
lonely.
think as you and I were saying before this podcast is that it's very difficult to find the right people to talk to about something that's going to give you an objective feedback on your business.
Yeah.
And that's generally not your family or your close friends.
Mm-mm.
And it might not be the same person for your different entities that you're involved in. So if you've got running 2 or 3 businesses at once, they're going to need different things. And to find the right people for that is exhausting enough. And then
Yeah.
actually trying to get out of your head what you want to say about each, it's a tough thing.
Mm.
But it's not impossible. And I think it's exciting if you hit the button right.
Yeah. What did you learn about choosing the right people to work with? Like, did you have some learnings there in terms of
No,
relationships?
it's funny. I've never had to choose who to work with. And it sounds funny like that. As I said, Petals Group Flower Cafe, we were a working team. So I wouldn't choose it left or right. And I haven't had to choose yet for floriography. As I said, I live with my husband, so we don't have a choice. but
Yeah.
because it's really a simple input, simple output, it's more about an education of our product
Yeah.
that we don't need anyone yet. And
Mm.
the outsourcing that we would need to do would be more from a logistics perspective. So how to get product to people that don't live in South Africa.
Was there a situation where you had, like, a customer, like, that was, like, the wrong yes to say yes to?
And I think that has been the frustrating thing. As I said, like my husband's very much a bit of a handbrake in a good way, where I am coming from my events background, I'm a yes person.
Yeah.
So I say yes and then figure out how to do it afterwards. And I've realized that that isn't the case with this business. You've got to say yes if you know 100%.
Yes.
Otherwise, do your due diligence first and then say yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is that I've had to learn how to be that cautious person, which I never was before,
Mm.
which I had a luxury again of having 20 people to work with.
True. Yeah, because most founders, actually, that's one of the biggest challenge that you end up working with people who are not in the same dynamic, different communication styles, different expectations, whatever.
Exactly.
And
And
then,
it's also, I think, would be hard with founders is that when you take that step to have to employ people or do whatever it is, you take a big risk because you're having to hand over something that you're very passionate about, that you've built on your own. And now someone else might have a different perspective, but it might not be wrong.
yes. And that's very likely the case because it's a different personality.
And so I think there's a lot of psychology that I think, yeah, founders should all have therapists.
Yes.
I really,
Yeah.
and that's where the place for a life coach is, or a business coach, or whatever it is. It's not only guiding you into like the nuts and bolts of how you run your business, but it's more about how you deal with the human beings that you come into contact with.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And also I see like this entire journey is like an identity journey. Like you go through different stages, you wear different hats, and the business is your mirror. It's either the business growing or you, or both. But it's like you get all your fears, anxiety, was whatsoever, like they're getting triggered. It's like a relationship, you know?
Yes, it's a total 100%. You've hit the nail on the head. It's like if you're sad, that day is sad. If you're anxious, that day is anxious. And it does completely, it's mirrored in how you operate.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
You're not 4 steps removed. You're in it. You know, and it's very exciting. And as I said to you, I sometimes feel like a bit of a fraud almost.
Yeah.
Because I'm so young or new. My training wheels aren't off yet. Yeah, in this space, in this founder space. And I almost feel that like, I know people have lots to learn from other people, but I have so much to learn. And, saying that's where the thinking cap has to come on, and it has to come on hard because you can't stay on your training wheels. And that does freak me out a little bit, is that you can't stay in that training zone for too long because you're going to get stuck there. And
Okay.
I think it comes with hard work and all of those things and whatever else. It's an interesting thought of how one defines, and maybe there is a definition of X amount of time in the saddle. You're no longer a founder, or you're an entrepreneur, but you're an entrepreneur of this kind of format or whatever it is. Well, how does it work? I don't know. I find that the word entrepreneur and founders are kind of very lofty because
Yeah.
it's sometimes disconcerting if you're in that headspace of like, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah. And who am I? And yeah, but
Who am I? Exactly. And you almost think like, but then again, if your books can show what you spend, what you're doing and how much money is coming into the business, because at the end of the day, it's about making money.
yeah,
It is. No
Yeah.
one's doing it at a charity organization.
no, that's a different game.
Different game. And actually, I think a lot of South Africans don't talk about money. I think you and I had this conversation when we first chatted. And not that I'm saying you should talk about money, because I was told that you don't, you get brought up to say that that's not ladylike, that you talk about money and things like that. But I think talking about it in the right way is empowering. Because to be quite honest, everyone is doing this to earn a living, to do something that you want to do with that money, whatever it may be. And so I think if people could talk about money openly, like you would talk about sex or you would talk about drugs, not that I do drugs, but I'm saying like, if it became something that wasn't like you sort of danced around the topic, it would be interesting.
Yeah. No, we talked about it before. It's true. And like now I remember because I did study in Finland. In Finland, they publish your salary openly. Everyone knows how much you earn, which is like they just don't care. Like they're just like this is a job. And then in American culture, obviously, they boost about like like they're proud about whatever they earn. Like they talk a lot about money, but in a more like a ego perspective. But here, yes, true. And in South Africa, I haven't had any of these conversations.
And I just find it fascinating because I think if people let go of a lot of those sort of the veil of like dancing around it, might actually make it a lot easier for people to just be more open in business. I don't know. I like, it's something that's always been at the top of my mind and thought very interesting psychological story behind.
Yeah, but to be honest, if you run a business, I mean, you do it. I mean, yes, of course you have fun, but also like you want to show traction, you want to see it's growing. It's all connected with money as like a measurement. It's a measurement.
It's a measurement. Exactly. And I think that it's actually it's the only universal measurement. Because if somebody asks you how your business is doing, they want to know, let's see your books.
Yeah.
Let's see what you're doing. It's not about what you, Veronica, have done. I could talk about how wonderful I think I am, but actually at the end of the day, how successful is the business? And if it's not, then you're just talking hot egg.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh my God, it sounds like slitting your wrist stuff, but it's not. It's exciting.
What would you feel like if your business or the businesses would disappear today? Like, what would you feel relieved about, and what would you miss?
Whew, that's a big one. To be honest, and I don't want to sound like I'm standing on my soapbox and said, "Oh, done that before,"
Yeah.
but it's happened. It happened to me. COVID did that.
Yeah.
Like we didn't earn a salary for 3 years. And yes, I might have been fortunate in the sense that I had savings and we used them.
Yeah.
But I think it'd just be the next cool opportunity. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen, but they never say never.
Yeah.
And as I said, pre-COVID, the BC that I thought was the perfect reality and would be like that for the rest of my life, or the rest of my working life, certainly showed me that actually when and these are the things, these colloquialisms, one door closes and another door opens, or when your back is up against the wall, the only way forward is forward. If people are waxing lyrical about that, it's only because they know what that feels like.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I know what that feels like. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. But I do believe that, again, there's light at the end of the tunnel, all of these crazy things that people say to you. But once again, if you don't know, you don't know, and it's okay. But once you know, never forget and learn by those things that have happened to you. And that's life. And that's how we do it. And so I don't think it would frighten me as much as I think it would have done 5 years ago.
No. And would you also feel a certain relief?
I think I would. It's like that shedding the skin, the you're the snake going into the fire horse. I do think as human beings that sometimes that dead weight if it becomes dead weight, it is a relief. It might not be the one that you think would come, but I think it is.
No. I mean,
that's
most
human.
others think about the next idea then by then, Yeah.
Where like your serial entrepreneur becomes either it's addictive.
Yeah.
And outside it is really addictive.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated, and this is again, I don't know if it's the phase of life that you're in or it's people you connect with or communicate with, but I am obsessed with knowing what other people do because I'm like, how could I one day do that if that interests me? And I think that is the entrepreneurial brain. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just weird.
I think they are like they are out of the norm because they do something the average person doesn't do, like like taking risks.
And I do think it's a privilege. I honestly do believe it's a privilege because, as I said, I can't be a doctor and I'm not going to be a lawyer. I'm not going to be an accountant, and it's a privilege.
Thanks for listening. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.